කාලයයිදැන් අවදිවන්නට ඉදුණු සිත් යළි එකතු කරන්නට එක හදින් අභිමානයෙන් නැගී සිටින්නට ලක් මවට ජයරගෙන එන්නට.
Hello and welcome to the first English session of the Ask Namal series, ideated by the national organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, sitting Member of Parliament, Honourable Namal Rajapaksa. I'm Attorney at Law Dimitra Besekara, former candidate for Parliament from the SLPP for the Colombo district at the 2024 general elections. I'm joined here by my co-moderator, Attorney at Law Shakya Kumarasinghe. First and foremostly, Honourable Member, thank you very much for inviting us for this first session.
Thank you.
Before we start, I'd just like to ask you on a very informal level, what made you want to start this platform? I think it's a great idea, but what purpose did you have in rolling this out?
Well, I think it has always been one-way communication in politics, whether you like it or not, that's the truth. We do have public meetings and we do have public engagement, but end of the day, I think the society and the voter base has shifted towards more of asking and engaging with their leaders through online platforms. And things have changed, and the way of communicating has changed. So we believed, not only going from village to village, we call it Gamen Gamata, and also having public days. And nowadays, of course, talking about public days, there are very serious security concerns seeing what's happening around. But, well, I mean, still we will be continuing that as well. But I thought, why not give a chance to the community who engage with us on social media. Especially the critics, they assume a lot of things, they come up with a lot of ideas, they come up with a lot of accusations. So why not let them give them a platform to ask us directly, and I think this will create a platform for everyone to directly engage with myself and our party.
So, Honourable Rajapaksa, so as a first question, I would like to ask, as a Member of Parliament, a former cabinet member and a lawyer, how do you respond to concerns that some legislative members of the government may be undermining a court order and giving directions to state officials to disregard an order of the court? What is your take on this recent event?
See, the politicization of the government service and of course trying to bring that particular concept of propaganda into the judicial system and to the police has become pretty much normal in this government. So ever since they came into power, if you look at certain appointments they made, for the first time in Sri Lankan history, there have been appointments to the police through political setup. It has never happened in the past, and it's against the political ordinance as well. So politicizing the administration structure and not respecting the governing structure has been a practice this government has doing ever since they came into power. So it's not a surprising statement by a certain member of parliament regarding a judgment.
Yes.
But the reaction is surprised. I'm surprised by the reaction by the system itself, because if I have made that statement, will the certain organizations and individuals will have a similar approach towards that, or will they still be silent on it, or will they will they go to a different level taking that particular statement? But the reaction is different. So this is what is concerning, whether actually whether we are waiting for systems to fail.
Okay.
Because all these statements are clear indications that they are trying to A, politicize the system,
Yes.
B, that they want to interfere, C, that they don't respect it. Okay. So eventually this will lead to a breakdown of the system. So a member can say anything. I mean, it's end of the day, they're right. And they can always get away saying, I didn't know about it, or that statement, I wouldn't have made it.
Sure.
I saw certain senior members of the same cabinet trying to defend that statement by giving similar answers. But this is not the first time. This is not the first time that they wanted to go against the judiciary, but also in certain appointments, it was brought up in Parliament, raised in Parliament recently as well, when they wanted to appoint certain individuals to certain positions. How they reacted, and also how they used the police to take their political propaganda to the masses. Okay. I mean, unfortunately, this police spokesman is just like the government spokesman now. He makes submissions to the masses, or he makes submissions to the media, which he should be doing to the courts. And we see that every day. I mean, even this week in Parliament, when they were debating about this organized crimes and distribution of drugs and how to tackle it, none of the government members came up with a solution.
Yes.
They only came up with accusations. So governing party, they have to give a solution for this. I mean, what is their solution? Not that they are going to accuse the opposition or the main opposition parties or myself, and then say, once we accuse these guys, there won't be any organized crimes. Because as you can see clearly, one of the state ministers few weeks ago actually made a statement saying, "Dawase vedilla then ivarai." But it didn't stop.
Yeah.
So which means, which can be seen prima facie that there is some groups which are backed by the government, and I believe they're carrying out the propaganda for the government.
Adding to what you said, an observation I made is the fact that you said it's a parliamentarian's observation, and like you rightfully said, if you had made this statement, it would have had a completely different reaction.
I don't think we'll be able to have this conversation today.
Absolutely not. But my question is, this statement is not covered by privilege. It was not made in Parliament. So therefore, there is a certain mishap, and it was also made by not just any parliamentarian, but an attorney at law. So the fact that certain, like you said, members of that cabinet are defending this has this become kind of like a pastime for the government, where they just try to, instead of owning up to their problems and their faults, they just keep backing it and saying, no, we're justifying it. Is that something
they've
that you
been justifying it for a long time,
exactly,
right? I mean, see, what they can do is only two things. One is to blame the past and justify the mistakes they do in the current context. So what they're good at is blaming the past. Every time if you listen to any of their parliament speeches, even when His Excellency the President comes and speaks on media or when he goes abroad, when he addresses the diaspora, it's nothing about the future. It's nothing about the next generation or what's going to happen tomorrow. It's all about what happened yesterday and what sort of mechanism he has to address what happened yesterday. What has happened is happened, right? If you really want to do an investigation on it, let's do it. Let the police do it. I mean, you don't have to force OICs to come and give false statements. But the question is, are they actually keeping up to the expectations, and are they going to deliver it? So these kind of statements, the senior members of the cabinet can make it look like a joke, but the gravity is bigger. The impact is bigger, and if someone wants to interpret it in a very different way, it can even go out of proportion. So.
But isn't this keeping in line with how they came to power? Because as a member of parliament, you probably recall one of the key things that the members of parliament from the incumbent government used to do when they were in the opposition was highlight the headlines in the newspapers in parliament every day. They would highlight what the problem is, never give a solution.
See, they have forgotten that they're in power now.
Absolutely.
They're in office. Yeah. So they have to give solutions now. And not only give solutions, but they have to implement that. Right? I mean, they're not doing it. But if you look at what we started long years ago, which they opposed, for example, the Mirigam highway, only 37 kilometers. They opposed it many times. They went to courts. They made sure it's delayed. And today they have to go and inaugurate the project by taking a loan, which has much more higher interest rates. And they have to pay compensation for damage. They have to pay damages as well to the constructor, the construction company. And they are paying it at a high cost. They're doing it at a high cost. And at the same time, if you look at what happened to Noracholle and what happened to Sampur, they stopped. They went to court for Sampur. And today they are signing the same project with India on a different context. So which means they are not in a position to think new and go ahead, but they are trying to redo what MR did at that time, or before 2015, which they opposed at that time.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, I mean, if they haven't opposed it, if they have let those projects move forward, today the highway network would have been completed. We would have been going to Kandy on highway, Dambulla right away on a highway. The Mirigama section would have been done long years ago. GR wouldn't have faced a power crisis because Noracholle second phase and Umaoya 120 megawatts, Sampur 200 megawatts would have given the, even Hamathur LNG plant, that would have given the required power generation, right? So they did a lot of accusation. They not only accused us in the past, but they also opposed certain things. Best example again, the recent past is the new Fortress investment. which would have generated a megawatt for 30 plus rupees. Now we are doing it 100 plus rupees. So they have a history of doing it. But the unfortunate part is that they are forgetting that they're in power, they're in office, and they have to deliver. And they are given a massive manifesto. I don't know even none of these guys have read it.
Praise us for false ideologies.
But now they are stuck with their own statements.
The opposition mindset hasn't shifted even though they're in the government.
It's more than shifting the opposition mindset. That's the approach.
Okay.
So they're vindictive. They're angry at the society. They want to take revenge, and at the same time, they don't want to deliver.
Correct.
So I believe if they really want to deliver, they can. All these guys have been in politics for a long time, or even in the private sector. And some of the senior members of NPP or JVP, they have had ministries before as well. This is not the first time they're doing a ministry. And they know the system, right? They have their own trade unions. They can work with them, make sure that the trade unions do well. The institutions do, then eventually the institution will do well. But they're not doing it.
Correct.
So which is a clear message that they're not interested.
Aren't their policies also, or not their policies rather, their the manner and form in which they're carrying themselves, is it not going against the very support that they receive from their own trade unions?
Well, because see, now they're stuck between the IMF. That's what I always say. They are stuck between the UMP economic policy and JVP political agenda. So they can't do that. They can't have the Chinese communist system in their political setup and have the American economic ideology with them. So either they have to shift the economic policy into the communist system, or they have to give up the communist system and come to normal two-party system or whatever whatever rest of the parties believes in.
Yeah.
Or they have to come to at least the middle. But unfortunately, they think like UMPs, they think like liberals, or they think like more like Americans, and they want to do politics like Chinese. So which doesn't go well.
They act like terrorists.
Lak mavate jaya regena